episode of The Secret Sauce of Large Property Managers, I have invited Doug Truitt, who is the Director of Distribution of Stay Alfred. Stay Alfred is indeed a very large property management company in the United States. They have over 2,500 apartments in 33 locations. How did they grow so exponentially over the years? How do they find the inventory? How do they keep it? And how do they market themselves so successfully? These are the kind of questions I had for Doug in this episode, which you can access both on podcast and on YouTube. Thanks for joining me on this podcast video recording of The Secret Sauce, as we're going to call it. And let's just launch ourselves straight into it. I wanted to find out who you are, what you were doing before, and your current position at Stay Alfred.
Sure. First of all, thanks for having me. This is exciting to be a part of. My name is Doug Truitt. I'm the Director of Distribution for Stay Alfred, and prior to Stay Alfred, I had been in the hotel space for 19 years. The most recent position was, before starting with Stay Alfred, was as the Assistant General Manager for Red Lion Hotel at the Park in Spokane, Washington, which is a 400-room hotel with 5 food and beverage outlets and 30,000 square feet of convention meeting space. So annual revenue of about $15 million a year. And it was a great space, a great place to be. But the hotel space definitely was lacking that little bit extra that I think that the vacation rental space came from. So currently Director of Distribution, and then I manage our advertising presence on all of our third-party channel OTAs for Stay Alfred. Our distro team, as we call it, it consists of 3 teams. So distribution, building and maintaining the advertisements. The OTA support team, which is receiving of all the reservations, processing, making sure that everything coming from the OTAs are doing what they're supposed to do. And then guest reviews and reputation management. So asking for, responding to, and escalating issues based on our guests' valuable feedback throughout our organization to try and make sure that we're always constantly doing better. Yeah.
Well, you're a busy man.
Yes. Yeah. There's a lot to do, but it's really fun. I really enjoy the challenge. The OTAs bring a very challenging presence to the game of VR, but there's so much to do. So.
Great. Well, we'll get back on the topic of marketing. So I've got quite a few questions for you. But
Sure.
tell me a little bit, what is Stay Alfred for those who don't know? Because I expect we'll get a lot of viewers from Europe, and they may not be familiar with the brand. So what is Stay Alfred, and what vertical does it address?
Sure. So, Stay Alfred offers upscale travel apartments in the walkable downtown neighborhoods of 33 U.S. cities and counting. Our next generation booking process, 24 hours, 7-day week customer service, and professional housekeeping staff provide our guests with the reliability of a hotel stay, while our spacious accommodations with a kitchen, laundry, and private bedrooms give guests the convenience of an apartment. We live to offer travelers what we call our tagline of "Your place in the city." So it's a really good concept for us to really embrace all travelers that come to any of our cities for either work, for family, for tourism, for any kind of venue that they're coming for. It really encompasses being able to have your own place and not worry about small, tiny hotel rooms, or somebody who has cat allergies and maybe their cats are left over in their flat or whatever. The vertical to which we address really, I think, really stems from it's its own really niche. Really, I mean, you have your traditional vacation rental, you got your your surf and ski, you've got your resorts, you got your houses on the beaches, and you got your stuff up in the the mountains. But then on the hotel side of it, you got all these really prime urban downtown locations with all these great hotels with tiny hotel rooms. So we really have this niche right in the middle between all of that, which is the urban downtown markets, where there isn't a whole lot of vacation rentals that you can really access, at least in the domestic U.S. And so we found a way to be in those places and actually attract a market of folks who don't want the hotel room, but also don't want to go stay, you know, 10, 15 miles outside of the really big core of where people want to be. So I would say that's probably the vertical that we address is really more so the accommodation side, and then part of our technology as well that supports it.
So can you disclose what's the percentage between leisure and business?
Um, right now, it's more predominantly on leisure, but we do have a very strong business presence, and we are expanding our efforts to invest more into that. We do have a national corporate sales team that their sole focus is going after big, large companies that feature with relocations or short-term job needs or project needs. There is a very large market for that for us as well, being that we're in these prime urban downtown markets like downtown Seattle and Boston and Washington D.C. and these places that have a lot of business activity that are happening where these big companies need accommodations where folks don't have to get rental cars and be in a hotel room, and they can actually treat their employees a little bit better with a full-fledged apartment. So
Okay, but it's still short term, right? Or are you also looking at midterm now?
we do short term. We also do long term. And what we deem as long term is anything longer than 30 days.
Mhm.
But we do have quite a bit of business that comes for longer than 30 days. Denver, in the city of Denver right now, we have quite a few long-term stays that occur there in that city, as well as Boston. And even Washington D.C. And there's a little bit of littering of other types of reservations and things that come in for longer than 30-day stays. But I would say our main core focus is the short-term rental side, but it is something that we're moving more towards to try and figure out more of that advertising to that longer-term stay guest.
Cool. And so tell me, for Stay Alfred, is the brand really important? The consistency of the brand? Is this
Oh,
something?
come on. Yeah, of course it is.
Tell me more about it.
um, excuse me. Yeah, I mean some of the ways that the brand is important in consistency is I mean just as I explained about the difference between a hotel and a vacation rental. I mean, the reason why hotels are so successful is because majority of corporate and travel clients are able to or even families are able to know the reliability and the consistency of going and staying at a Hilton or a Marriott. But the reality is, in a lot of vacation rental markets, as far as property managers that are out there, they have very unique pieces of inventory, right? And they're all different. But for Stay Alfred, we actually have a way of creating a unique from combining the space and the comforts of the travel apartment, and the consistency and reliability of a hotel. The average size of a hotel room, according to USA Today, is 325 square feet. But the average size of a Stay Alfred apartment is nearly 3 times that, with the pricing that is very very competitive to hotel comp sets. And so we also focus on building our own furniture. So we don't own the companies that make the furniture, but we've worked with companies for our own custom furniture. So we have a custom kind of iconic quotation mark chair is what we call it. It's a green chair. You've probably seen it in a lot of our advertisements. But it's the same sofa sleeper, the same chair, the same dining set, the same dishware, the same bed, the same linens, the same towels, same amenities, all those pieces that go into all of our apartments. They're the same whether you're in Boston or you're in Seattle or you're in San Diego or New Orleans. And I think that consistency really is something of value for a lot of customers because they want the more space, they want a full apartment, they want a washer and dryer in their unit, they want these pieces to make it feel like their place in the city, but they also want to know that if they go choose one in one city and they choose it in another, they're going to have a very similar experience and consistency, and that establishes loyalty. I really feel.
So it's funny you say that because I stayed in the Sonder, sorry, and
Hey.
it was it was the same kind of concept, right? I stayed in the Sonder in one city and one in the other, and the apartment was extremely similar. So how do you differ from your competitors? Sonder is one of them, right? Or did I get that?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of competitors out there, and as we all know that there's quite a few in the VR space, and they're all vying for a piece of the promising and increasing market space that is what we're doing. Um, but I think we also are one of the ones that one of the first ones that actually have a loyalty program. So I don't know if you've seen our pushing on that, but we have one of the first loyalty programs in the short-term space, and the Stay Alfred Rewards, or the Green Suitcase Society, which is not unlike what you find in the hotel chains, where repeat stays lead to free nights. And I think that's a very valuable thing that has been missing as a calling from the vacation rental space. A lot of folks are saying, well, yeah, I love staying in a vacation rental, I love doing this, but man, I miss all my Marriott rewards points. I miss all my, those kinds of things. So I think we're really bridging the gap where I don't think really anybody else has actually successfully attempted that. And we're fully launched with it, and it's fully out there, and we're getting a lot of great organic feedback from it without pushing too much.
Congratulations! That sounds like a really good program, and it's missing. It's missing. So which leads me directly to the next question. I expect that some of your investments went into creating new programs that will help the brand. Um, what have they been used otherwise for, the investments? What have you been doing with
Um,
the money? Because
yeah, I mean,
sorry, from my sources, I see that you've raised about $62 million. Yeah,
mhm.
altogether. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah, we use our investment rounds to really expand the business, strengthen our inventory acquisition, build and improve on the technology, and then also move Stay Alfred really to the next level, which we're looking to get into Europe. We're getting really close there, and then as well, I mean, just really, I would say the biggest part is investing in trying to just constantly gain more acquisition of inventory, and really aid those efforts. We're also funding a lot of our technology, and trying to make sure that we are not only building more on top of our technology, but just improving upon. I mean, as we all know, technology is just constantly changing and evolving, and the guest needs are changing and evolving, and so that requires a lot of attention, and a lot of innovation as well. And so that's where we put a lot of our focus as well.
Wonderful. So loyalty program, Europe, and more inventory and tech. So just quickly on inventory, how does it work with Stay Alfred? You lease long term, you acquire, is it a mix? How does it work?
Yeah, there's a mix. We do a lot of master leases, is what we call that, which are long-term leases, working with developers and owners of properties. We do have whole building inventory as well, where we actually take over the entire building. Some we take over, several floors in a building. So that's, I mean, we have a very healthy mix of all, but that's pretty much the go forward strategy in the future is mostly that more longer term secured inventory.
Okay. And you've got your European locations pinpointed already. Where are you going to go first?
Yeah, we've got a big task list of what we're trying to get into. We have our sights set in UK. Looking at Brussels, Warsaw, Krakow. We're looking at Barcelona, and a few other spots there. So we'll be coming right there near there to Reynolds United soon.
Great. We'll welcome you. We'll welcome you. Okay. So you talked shortly about tech. I want to deep dive into tech. What have you built? What has Stay Alfred built, and what has Stay Alfred outsourced?
Sure. We've built quite a few things. We've built our own guest app, native app. We've built some housekeeping apps for our internal teams. We've built we've built our own website for ourselves. We've also built the loyalty program that intersects with all those systems. We've built a dynamic revenue management system internally for ourselves. There's quite a few other things that we've built. A little more granular, but realistically, that's what we've done. Outsourcing, there's bits and pieces of outsourcing that have happened over the time. Not a whole lot though. We really try to keep things close to us to make sure that we have the most control over it. And if we don't, we're going to invest more resources and time of internal employees to actually build on that instead of actually, outsourcing it all.
So how
Controlling
many,
the project and controlling the flow is really important.
so how many programmers are we talking about today?
Today we've got. Sorry, I don't have to count them. I would say right now we've got about 12 or 13 programmers.
That's a lot of
consisting of
tools.
consisting of various roles, right? Senior software engineers, lead software engineers, that kind of thing. So
Nice one. And
yeah.
so I don't know if you heard, but there's one company in the States that is now outsourcing or reselling their own software. The software that they built for their own property management company, they're now reselling it. Is this something that you'll be looking into doing in the future, you think?
I don't believe that it's really on the roadmap at this point right now. But I mean, hey, anything's possible in the future. And that would be obviously something for my cohorts to actually speak to. But yeah, I think anything's possible for Stay Alfred. I mean, this space is constantly changing and evolving, and I think everybody is pivoting and reacting in various ways. I think that we are sticking true to our core of what we do, and that's we're offering amazing places, and we're easy to do business with, and that's kind of what we try to aim for right now on our traditional um, you know niche, the best of hotels and best of vacation rentals kind of thing. So
Because how many apartments you have now, or how many units?
we're up to 2,500 units right now.
Tigers, tigers.
Yeah.
um, okay, so this is close to your heart. Let's talk about marketing and distribution. How do you choose your channels? How do you know which are the best OTAs to advertise on when it comes to leisure and business travel?
Sure. Similar web. um, just look up the channel and see what kind of traffic they're getting and where it's coming from and everything else, and you'll be able to figure out if you're going to spend time with it or if it's worth your time. No, I kid. I mean, there is that a tool that is a tool that we use to kind of sift out leads and stuff, because a lot of folks will come in and say, hey, we should get on your OTA, and we want to make sure that what we're partnering with is something that is a customer that they have on their platform that Stay Alfred can accommodate and actually meets really well with. But I think there's some interesting channels that are emerging out of the space. One of them that we're actually looking at right now and about to integrate with is anyplace.com. I'm not sure if you've heard of those guys, but they work mostly with just 30-day plus stays. And so it's an interesting channel. They actually have a very good brand, and they have a great site, and they seem to have a really good model figured out. A lot of things too with channels that come into consideration for me to choose is a channel that's somewhat easy to do business with, because we try to be easy to do business with, so we'd like to make sure that somebody else is emulating that as well. And I know that channels, as soon as I started realizing when I first started doing distribution, is that they are just a marketing platform for us. They aren't ours. We're not trying to rob direct bookings from them or anything. Our presence out there is because we don't have the SEO and the PPC spend that those channels do with Google to actually drive stuff to us. So we utilize them to actually extend our brand out there, get new customers in, and then once we have them, if people decide they can come and stay with us directly the next time and do our loyalty program, do other pieces. So I really feel that those new OTA channels that come out and selecting them, it really depends on if they're easy to do business with. They're not really putting a lot of constraints on your business model to do certain things. and just yeah, just in general, just really easy to do business with and make a good relationship for the end user, which is the guest.
How did you come about anyplace.com? How did you find out about it?
Honestly, we look at every type of marketing materials that are out there, subscribe to everything we possibly can that comes back through distribution, or an OTA kind of stuff. And so we saw that these guys were raising some money, and I went and looked them up and saw that they were getting some traffic, and they had a really cool little piece of a market that I think that was something we're trying to align ourselves with a little bit more in the going forward strategy. And so that's kind of where I got another one that's very similar to them is Second Address, if you've heard of them.
Yes.
They have stuff as well, very similar in that nature. And then actually through Rentals United, we're going to be integrating Homes to Go shortly. So kind of vacation rental metasearch type channel. But yeah, I mean, we're constantly thinking about stuff, but we also don't want to overly saturate with lots of tons of channels, because you start thinking about it, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of maintenance, and instead of diluting yourself down and spreading yourself really thin, it's better to, I think, in my opinion, to concentrate your efforts on the channels and make sure that you're operating on all 8 cylinders, so to speak, with regards to what those channels are offering and what you can optimize and do on them. If you don't spend enough time, or if you oversaturate yourself in all these channels, you won't be able to actually see what they can do individually to their full potential.
That's a very good advice. I concur completely. Okay, we talked a bit about niche, local channels, and so how do you market to owners? I know some property managers here. They will not invest at all in their own website because it's too expensive, right? So they say we just work with OTAs. We don't advertise on our own website. What we focus on marketing on is owners. That we make a real push for. So how does it work? How do you market not so much to owners, but to the companies that you lease the buildings from? Is there a whole sales team dedicated to that?
Yeah, we do. We actually have we have a full business development team that basically goes out and looks for inventory and looks for relationships, high-level relationships with developers and property owners. But we also have a B2B marketing team as well that is helping to elevate that as well. You may have seen some of our stuff. We'll do webinars as well, and not just talking about how to get more inventory just for Stay Alfred selfishly, but almost more for the space, trying to actually help developers and property owners and other folks understand about this space, so that it isn't something that has to be frowned upon because it's a short-term rental or not. It could be something that is a really unique opportunity for developers and property owners to help with lease up, is what they call it, in being able to get a lot of their units rented to meet the needs that they have for their own business. And we're a great partner for that. We have rave reviews from lots of our developers and property owners, based on just how our guests are, how we operate the business, and what we do. And I think that our B2B marketing team does a great job of surfacing those aspects in venues like webinars, as well as just marketing pushes and email campaigns and things that they're doing to try and really leverage that kind of community to bridge with the vacation rental space or the short-term rental space.
Nice initiative. I'd love to have the link of the podcast, and I will add it to the notes of this one.
Sure. Yeah, I'll have my team send out. Yeah.
Cool. So, last 2 questions, promise.
No, you're fine.
Your feelings about the relationship with Rentals United. Give
Oh,
me some
those
kudos.
guys. Honestly, Rentals United, it's something that has been a blessing, honestly, I think, for Stay Alfred. We started off when we were a little bit, quite a bit smaller, with Rentals United. We had just migrated from Kigo as a PMS to Streamline, and before Kigo had managed all of our had managed Booking.com and all of the OTAs pretty much all through that platform. And we outgrew Kigo by quite a bit. And then we joined up with Streamline and realized, oh wait, what's channel management? We actually have to figure out how to do channel management. Oh, okay. So we started talking to Rentals United, and it just became a really great relationship that has developed over the years. Just because as Stay Alfred has grown massively and expansively, I think that Rentals United has reacted accordingly as well for our business, because it is very unique. We distribute more like a hotel, so multi-unit style logic, and that is something that I don't think was the core of Rentals United when we first started, and I think that you guys have really adapted to that and made a strong effort to figure that piece out, because it is a big piece that's coming up in the space. And just I don't know, I just think that there's a sense of genuine, horrible English here, but just a really genuality, just something very genuine about Rentals United and the relationship we have with them. Seeing them at conferences, meeting with them, talking to them, being able to have one-on-ones with James, the CEO, and really just being able to know that we have a very confident relationship, and that things are resolved very quickly when we have any issues that happen. I think it's a great relationship, and we're honestly right now we're building our own integration to Rentals United. To go directly with them, and it's a really exciting thing for us, just because it just strengthens our relationship and the speed at which we can do business. So
Thanks so much. Well, there's a lot of compliments there. I think I blushed.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, we treat you as our partner, so long may it continue.
Yeah.
So very last question, your industry predictions for 2020. What do you think will happen next year? I know it's a tricky one, isn't it? I'm being asked it all the time, so I'm just going to put it on you.
I bet. Yeah, no. I think industry predictions, Stay Alfred's really gonna focus on what we're doing, and then try to keep it there, and hopefully, stay away from a lot of the, I think, from the noise that may happen with all the changing and pivoting that happens, because we really have a really good core of what we're doing. I would say predictions wise, I think that the market's going to continue to expand. I think that there will be hopefully some loosening of inventory, or cautiousness to doing short-term rentals. I think that this market is really going to expand a lot and start showing that there's a tool set for property owners and developers to really maximize what their business efforts are and their intentions are doing, because there's a lot of expansion out there. There's a lot of new builds. There's a lot of things going on, and I think that if I think those folks are going to start really realizing that this space is something that is definitely needed, and that the majority of the travel space is starting to ask for it really heavily, and actually almost demanding that it is there. And so I think that's something that's really going to happen in the next year. Is hopefully it's going to start loosening in that way.
Great. Well, thanks so much. So I don't want to take more of your time. It's been
Yeah.
really interesting. I'm going to type all of this up, publish the videos and the podcast, and hopefully our listeners and viewers will be able to learn from you and from your success at Stay Alfred. So thanks so much, and take care.
Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for the time.